And hello there, guys and gals. My name is JD. Welcome aboard Fenrir Flight 1031. This is, of course, the Iris C-27 Battlefield Lifter, the brand new update that was released. This flight, we're going to take off. We're taking off from the airport of the factory that actually builds these things in Italy. We'll be rolling out of here. We're going to be flying into Charles De Gaulle today. It's about an hour and 12-minute flight, roughly 50 minutes, depending on weather conditions, so forth like that. So, we are currently lined up. We are ready for takeoff on the runway. Everything is set, ready to rock and roll. So let's go ahead and get out of here. We'll start climbing out, and we'll start talking and rocking and rolling about the plane. So, let's kick her out. There's airspeed emptive, and 80 knots. (120) rotates.
500. 100.
Gear up, flaps up. And while we're here, let's go ahead and throw autopilot, go to altitude, navigation, indicated airspeed, and crank that up to a positive 18. Just so we actually get out of here. And I need to change that to a locked spot because that's super annoying. There we go. As we climb out, let's go back in there. Take off landing lights. We don't need those on. And plenty of fuel for the trip. Actually, we've got more than enough fuel for the trip. So, climb out. I do like the way the plane looks. It looks a lot sharper now than it used to. Definitely very improvement. I have some things that I think are great with the plane and some things I wish would go back to the way they used to be. Number one is that you can hear my autopilot and you can see him on the outside of the plane, but on the inside of the plane, he's invisible. And, lo and behold, so am I. Now, for most of you that are used to flying FSX, you're like, yeah, what's your point, dude? That's normal. Well, not exactly true. In the old tactical airlifter version of the C-27 from Iris, you could make him appear, and you appear. So there was actually bodies. That I kind of miss, because, you know, since I'm sitting here recording a video talking to myself, it would at least make more sense if there was somebody in this general seat direction over here that I could look at and talk to, and that way, you know, it doesn't look like I'm a completely insane person. And then, you know, I'm not just a ghostly body myself, which is kind of blah. Things that I think are pretty nifty is the new heads-up displays, or the new displays here are awesome. I love the way they work. I love everything on them. I love being able to monitor my fuels, engine stats, you know, everything over here, navigation, ACOS, you know, all this stuff, great. Being able to switch back and forth is great. Being able to actually, you know, the new fuel check system and everything is not bad. I don't, you know, the old way wasn't bad for me either. I didn't think it was a problem. But, you know, live and learn. We are going to clear the mountain, so we're good. Something I do think is quite annoying. Let me hit it. Bam! Is how bright this map terrain is. This is just way too bright. If we could dumb this down a little bit, I mean, even like compare the two. Look at how bright this one is compared to this one. So if this display could, you know, tune it down a little bit, I mean, you can't adjust the brightness or anything over here, which I wish I could. The other thing is a lot of the writing and stuff on this, when you've got map selected, disappears. You cannot see it. This blue, there's pink. The pink stands out a little bit, but the blue is impossible half the time when you're trying to read. So 9 times out of 10, what you're going to find yourself doing is going right back to this and ignoring everything else. adjust that up to 5. So, enjoy. I do enjoy all this. I'll put my mission marker back on. I do enjoy being touch the buttons, the soft keys, if you will, all on the sides here. That's great. I do like this setup. I kind of miss the button, the toggle switch here, the gust lock switch was something I kind of miss as well, being able to use that instead of using this. Anyone who's flown any of the latest Iris know about how to use this, everything else, how to configure it, start up, stuff like that. It's not bad. To get it going, if you full cold darken plane, you just got to make sure you get all your electricity lined up correctly, and then that'll start up, and then you can go from there, and you can have it go start to ACU, APU, sorry, not ACU, APU, not antenna control unit, auxiliary power unit, blah. So then you can, change your configuration of your aircraft. I've currently got the HUD and the sensors installed. I don't have the fuel probe, and I don't have the radome installed, so I've got a custom build for myself here. I do like the fact that it keeps that for me. Panel states is where you come in. So I can power the plane down completely, turn it on to APU. To get to this point where you can run APU, so this at least turns on, you got to get that electricity set up right. And once you've got that set right, then you can hit, power on APU. And that'll get you to the point where you can, actually come up to the top panel here and, get your engines going and so forth. Not bad. Like the old one, you've got a complete power on with engines. That'll take it from nothing going to engines running. That's not bad. Takeoff, it puts the aircraft in takeoff configuration. All I've seen it basically do is turn your lights, your landing lights, and your taxi light on. I haven't bothered to actually look outside and see if it's doing anything else. I haven't played with it too much. Day ops, night vision ops should be pretty self-explanatory. Day ops, daytime running, light configuration switches. The panel isn't, backlit with the green lights. Your overhead lights aren't on, so forth. Night ops, it makes the lights on the consoles come on, so forth, which I miss being able to actually just do that manually with the buttons. I know it sounds silly, I can do it automatically. I'd rather do the buttons because that way I can choose whether I want the floodlights on or not. Personal opinion, 9 times out of 10 I don't fly with the floodlights on the older version. I just fly with the console lights on. Personal opinion. Same with the nav radios, you have to input your frequencies via this system now. Vice just being able to do it here with your frequencies, which I think is kind of annoying. It adds extra steps that I really didn't want to take to begin with. If I want to fly with nav and I want to fly VOR, and I want to be able to put the frequency in here and fly it and select, then be able to select here instead of, well, if I'm going to fly the VOR, I got to go into here, go into navigational setup, and then blah, 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 and then punch in the freaking frequency for the VOR. It's a pain in the backside, okay? That's a little annoying. Same with comm frequency. I have to input it on the FMC. Not exactly pleased about that. I'd rather be able to do it on my own. Same with ADF. I'd rather just be able to do it myself. I don't want to have to sit there and go into the computer, find the page on the computer, because right now, yes, it is brand new, and every time I want to look at something, I do have to refer to the frickin' book. And don't get me wrong, the book's pretty good. Let's get an outside view real quick. If you're wondering, that we're flying through the Italian Alps right now, Italian and French Alps. We are crossing into France that way. Pretty nifty outside. I like it. The outside looks great, even with the probe or anything else like that. I do have one of the planes I'm going to choose to use already. I'd like to modify it, but that's probably further on down the line. I'll probably be doing a lot more flights with this one, a lot more recordings with it. The smoke, I think that's a nice add-on. Your smoke system actually puts the exhaust out the engines like these engines do produce. So that's quite nice. I enjoy that. Very, very lovely. There we go. France is that way. So, back into the cockpit here. So, yeah, that gets a little annoying, having to constantly refer to the manual, come back over to the FMC, toggle into the FMC, put all my frequencies in I want to use. So in the end of the day, if you're trying to fly this thing realistically, it becomes a very large headache having to constantly go back, hit enter, change numbers. It becomes a nuisance, to say the least. Personal opinion, I'm sure there's people out there who go, well, I think it's nice, easy, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's great. For you, for me, it's a nuisance. I'm not a fan of it. Now, that also being said, something else I'm not a fan of. On the old tactical airlifter, down on our display here, you'd actually get aircraft that were within range. In other words, you'd have an aviation radar that would tell you where planes were, which, funny enough, most aircraft actually tend to have. So that way they know where their airplanes are. It's an airborne radar. It's not a tricky thing. And we know Iris figured it out a while ago because on the last one, it worked. On this one, no such luck. No clue about any planes in my area. Couldn't tell you what altitude they're at or anything else. I mean, they've got a lot of information on this system right now. You know, look at these airports, the information this thing is feeding me, stuff like that. Put aircraft back on this thing, man. Or, you know, give me the option to put a frickin' aviation radar that isn't the radomes that sit on the top of this thing. Just something so I can see what's around me because, you know, as much as I enjoy, you know, sitting here going, oh, well, cool, I don't see anything. And next thing I'm doing, I'm goofing off playing with, you know, the radio and I'm using FSX's air traffic control, just goofing off. And next thing I know, I'm like about to run into another plane because I have no clue they're there. You know, until the air traffic controller goes, hey, there's a guy and he's like half a mile from you. And you're like, what? I have no visual. You know, so that's a little annoying. I would like to see that come back, personally. Just personally, just something I would like. I'm not saying, oh, you need this. But, you know, it's just something that would be nice to have back. You know, the visuals, that's fine. The other thing is the cargo system. Now, yes, you go in, you adjust your weights and say, I'm carrying this much cargo. Like right now, I'm carrying the max load that this aircraft can carry for cargo-wise. So, what does that mean in the long run? Well, in the long run, it means that I'm carrying cargo. Well, okay, there's a door there. So, I'll presume I'm carrying cargo. Well, the fact of the matter is, if I go to the external window and I pop open the back door, it shows straight on into the cockpit. Like that door right there doesn't exist. Now, on the old one, there was a way where you could make a Humvee visible there. That was cool. Great and groovy. Hey, I've got a Humvee back there. I can open my door and look, there's a Humvee. And Bitch and Betty would go off and say, hey, dumbass, you've got a Humvee. What are you doing? The loadmaster would be like, hey, I opened the door. Hey, you know, stuff like that. Doors opening. You used to be able to open every door on this aircraft. The only door I've been able to figure out how to open anymore is the back door. I can't open the crew doors. I can't open the side doors in the back. I'm sure maybe it's buried in some little nugget somewhere in the manual. I'm hoping. I hope David Fix, you know, did something with that and said, hey, by the way, this is how you do it now. Since we no longer have the ability to pull our gust lock and verify. If you flew the previous one, you don't have gust lock anymore. Well, gust lock doesn't do what you want it to anymore. We used to be able to pull the gust lock and it would give us a clipboard and we'd be able to, you know, hey, put the cargo with the Humvee in there. And I think something else that should have been done when they updated is, you know, give us the ability to visual the cargo, but make it whether it's, you know, hey, there's pallets in the back or hey, there's a Humvee in the back. That's something I would kind of prefer. Because personally, I don't care for flying a Humvee all the time. Pallets would have been fine for me. That would have just been perfect for me, especially since what I'm looking at is we're probably going to take this once we get back to the main airbase, our home field, and start using FS Economy and start trying to run a cargo company with this. No passengers, strictly cargo. Well, maybe passengers. I mean, you can use this thing as a passenger plane. I wouldn't, but you could. So we're going to use it as a baby cargo plane. mainly because we've got a great short field and stuff like that. We'll try to get some money rolling on it. It's probably going to take a while because I got to, you know, paint the skin for the plane and all that livery, if you will. Unless somebody I can find do it for me, but, you know, yeah, what are the chances of that? So I'll just start working on my own and start trying to remember how to do that sort of stuff. System page, I don't need that. Config, flight control, stuff like that. It's not a bad setup using this, but I kind of miss the manual doing stuff. I guess that's just me. I do miss the co-pilot. I do miss the pilot. I miss the aircraft on the screen. You know, there's things that I miss that the other one has that this doesn't, but there's stuff that this has that the other one doesn't that is phenomenal. The sounds in this one is so much better. The engine control in this one is so much better. I don't know if they fixed vertical speed hold, whether that's gone back to working or not. I didn't bother to read on that part yet because I'd never personally used vertical speed hold. I really never climb out to 30,000 feet with this thing anyway. But from what I've read is that you can climb up and it'll maintain speed at that altitude as well. So that's cool. Alright, anyway, here's some of that blue writing I was talking about. Now let's go ahead and bring the map back on. And that blue writing just damn near invisible. I know where it is, it's right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, probably not. It's in the middle, it's right off to the left wing. I'm flying right through it on the screen right now. And it's just damn near impossible to see. Get rid of the map. Get rid of the map. Thank you. And, you know, I can at least see it again. So that light pastel blue probably wasn't the best of colors to put on there. I mean, maybe if you dim down that frickin' console there so the map isn't so damn bright, that would be great. And it's not so bad here in, like, France, but once you get back to, like, the States, holy shit, you can't see, like, anything on there. Because the map is so bright. It's like, yeah, screaming. You know, especially once you get to, like, the Midwest, the Mountain West, I mean, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Montana, stuff like that, where there's mountains and the altitude's really high up. That thing's almost white. You can't really see shit. So that could probably be fixed, dim it down a bit. I think the best guys who have that was, the best version they had of it was on their Falcon, which if they could bring the Falcon back, or not the Falcon, but the Eagle, the Mud Hen driver. If they could bring that kind of visual back where I could actually put the map overlay over that, I'd probably be a little bit more content. Speaking of which, if anyone has a clue what the hell's going on with Mud Hen driver, if Iris is going to update it and make it part of TAC Pack or whatever, let me know. That'd be great, because I would love to have my hands on it right now. Sadly, I don't. Kind of pretty. I don't know, this flight is really kind of just blah to me, because, you know, I've flown it a few times just playing around, and not exactly the exact same route. I've gone out at other airports in Italy, just goofing off. Rome isn't a bad airport. It was entertaining. Naples, not bad. For the most part, I don't fly a lot in this part of the world. I know a couple of years ago I did a round trip of Iceland, which that was cool. I enjoyed that. I did that with my Bronco, my OV2 from Aerosoft, my OV10 from Aerosoft. That's not a bad plane. That's probably about the only plane I actually do enjoy from them. Their F-16 is just overly complicated, and it wasn't that great. I mean, it's an F-16. It's not that complicated of a beast. Ugh. Excuse me. Oh, apparently I'm set on Geneva Center. Cool. May have been from the last time I was flying this plane. It does keep a lot of the information and stuff like that. The auto trim is a nice function on this plane, I will admit that. But outside, she looks beautiful. Absolutely pricelessly beautiful. I think if I had Active Sky Next on, it'd probably be like 1,000 times better, but it would also probably eat 1,000 times more frames. Because, you know, trying to record and fly in a heavy graphically intensive scenario is really nuts. I'm probably sitting a little lower on frames than I normally run actually a lot higher frames than I am right now, but I could probably also drop the quality way down, but where the hell's the fun in that? Yeah, see, there's a plane right there. 8 miles behind me. Let's see, we're set to 10 miles. Nope, he ain't there. See what I'm saying? Would have never known that plane was there. Would have never known I had any traffic around me. Nothing. I want that ability back. I mean, yeah, it was great. It just put a little white diamond that flew around. I don't even care if you make them little bitty crosses or something that just fly around on the radar, whatever. Just something so I know they're out there. Because like in the original, the tactical airlifter, you know, you'd be sitting there flying around, you could look down at the radar and be like, hey, there's a triangle over there. I'm not alone out here. Cool. You know, give you that feeling of, yay, there's at least something else out here, even if it is AI. It's just, you know, hey, I'm not alone, I'm not flying, you know, by myself. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I know other people are like, yeah, whatever, dude, don't care about that. I do. And I'm sure there's others out there who are like, yeah, I kind of miss that too. You know? Or, hey, why the hell don't we have that anymore? I mean, it's just 6 one, half dozen the other. Poopy cloud, poopy cloud. Yes, if you're wondering, I do have my settings cranked really, really high. I could probably dump it down to medium and be fine with it, but I kind of enjoy flying around on ultra high. Until I get to like LA. Once you start hitting like big cities, oof. Usually I'll probably end up dumping down. I'll probably have to drop down once we get closer to Paris. But for the most part, it's not too bad. Like out here in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. Let's do it real quick. Global settings. There, do that. And yeah, they gave us some extra frames. That's not bad. Doesn't look as nice, but loud noises. And this is just on medium right now, so it's not bad. Generally when I'm flying around, I'm on custom, which everything cranked up to ultra. Oh, since I was talking about it here. Yep, thank you, I got it. That's open, and see, still a door there. See, that's a little annoying. Like, if the door's going to be closed here, then make the door closed when I open the back ramp. I want to be able to put something in there, you know. Give me cargo. I know you guys have made the cargo thing. Just allow me to put cargo in there. Instead of, you know, oh, you gotta be on the ground, and look, then there's cargo. Well, screw that, don't care. I'd rather have it in the plane when I'm flying. I want the visuals back. I mean, hell, you've got it modeled so I can see them when they're outside. Just give me the guy back in here. You know, same here. Simple stuff. Well, I say simple stuff. It's probably, you know, a pain in the ass for them, but... I mean, otherwise, you know, I think the plane's phenomenal looking. It looks great. You know, reflections in the glass and stuff now. Great stuff. Wonder how... we are doing. We're running behind, but that's because I sat there on the airfield and actually BS'd for a little bit before we took off. We're on our way to RLP right now. How far away from RLP are we? About 40 nautical miles, roughly. Not bad. Time to target. About 6 minutes. Okay, not bad. Speed over ground 407. Not bad. We are actually moving pretty good. Looks like the wind's coming off our left nose a little bit. 075 at 7, yeah. Not bad. Now I have noticed there is a bug also with middle marker noises with this plane. It'll pop up with a little error box saying, hey, there's no middle marker noise here, what do we do? And you have to kind of go, because you're usually in the middle of trying to land, and it usually is the most annoying part ever for that thing to show up. So I'm hoping that'll probably get fixed before too long as well. When do I need to start my descent? Okay, on my way to CLM, I need to drop down to 13,000. Okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's a freaking 100 nautical mile trip or something like that. Which this thing will cover extremely well. Fuel-wise, if you notice, I've barely even tapped my aux tanks. You can look up here. Barely even touched them. As before, as long as you got the fuel probe intact, if you hit RF flow on, sit at 15,000 feet roughly at 230 knots, you'll begin mid-air refueling. Same routine as before. The RF will blink on the fuel pumps saying, yeah, we're refueling. But yeah, no, too much different really. I know if you got the patch, the hot fix for the original one, it had this bad habit of whenever you'd hit nav or you'd hit altitude hold and indicated airspeed hold, it would put at whatever airspeed you're at, whatever altitude you're at, instead of what you wanted it or what you had put into here. Glad that's been fixed, as long as it stays fixed and doesn't make some stupid annoying change. Overall, the plane looks just as sexy as it used to. It's still a great plane to fly. Low speed handling is a little bit more loose than it was, it feels like. But great climber, even when heavy. So enjoy the plane, carpe diem. There we go again, another plane. No clue he was there. None. And sorry if I bleed on about that, but that's like my huge annoyance, is that, you know, we used to have that. Why the hell was that taken away? It's just like the visuals. I can see my little pilots in there. Why can't they just be in there when I'm in there? Dicks. Either way. Looks like it's going to be a nice sunny day here in France. Lucky bastards. It's been raining for like a day and a half here. That just looks cool right there, you know? That does indeed look cool. Bye-bye, Boeing. 737-800. Bye. At least you're not a freaking MD-80. The amount of those I see is retarded. And like, there's been like 2 times I've ever seen a 747. But whatever. Go ahead and put this down to 13,000. Not too much. There we go. A little bit ahead. Just a little bit, it looks like. Might be making up some time. We got that tailwind pushing us, or that wind pushing us, but the speed over ground is redonkulous right now. So we'll definitely make up some time. As we cruise down. 100 nautical miles to go. Cover it in 15 minutes. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And yep, we're getting close to Paris. 109 miles out. Which means we'll have to start getting configured for landing here before too long. 10. Yeah. So once we start getting closer to CLM, we'll start dropping speed down too. And we'll get her down to about 170. Start making preps for landing, flaps, gear, and everything. If you remembered how the HUD worked on the old version, the HUD's pretty much the same, except for, you know, you've got the E-trim heading up there now. Looks like Paris is going to be heavily covered with aircraft this morning. Though it's morning for Italy, it's like late at night for me. Well, I say late at night for me. I work at night, so it's actually technically morning still for me. So either way, it's a morning. Alright, down to 13,000 finally. With only 68 nautical miles to go. And if I remember right, we're set up, we'll be coming in on 8 right and then going off to a parking spot. Where we'll park, we'll just shut the bird down and we'll let them do what they gotta do in France. Look at that, a Mooney's behind us. Mooney Bravo. 9 nautical miles. No, it looks like the Mooney's the closest guy to us and he's going away. Even on medium, the water still looks pretty good, at least. Hey, dumbass, climb. I guess while we're sitting here, nothing. If you guys have any questions or anything like that while we're flying, you guys want to do, because I'm probably going to do a lot of these, because I'm actually really enjoying flying an FSX again. Probably very few War Thunder, if anything. Since I got my flight set up back, I'm probably going to start, I might go over and start trying the realistic, or the full sim battles in War Thunder, but with all the planes being neutered to shit, there's really kind of no point unless you want to fly Russian and own everything. But I may go over and learn how they've got their system set up, set my controller or my joystick up properly for me. Know what manner that makes sense. And then DCS, probably going to pick up F-15, and then I know there's guys working on a P-47 for DCS, so I'll probably get that. That's going to be a few more months, get each of them down the line as they come out. But we'll get some DCS flight time in. We'll probably do learning to fly in DCS with the Eagle, and startup and all that on the Eagle. Maybe the A-10 as well, somewhere down the line. I'm not much of a fan of the Warthog. I know she's the Thunderbolt II and the P-47's namesake and all that. But the P-47 to me is a 1,000 times better airplane. Just because I prefer props. Hence, flying a turboprop here. I mean, sure, I could probably be flying a jet. I mean, where's the fun in that, though? It turned my smoke off. Damn thing. Anyway. So, I mean, yes, I do fly jets. My favorite to fly right now is the Tiger Shark, at least in FSX. DCS, I end up flying the Frog Boat, but that's just because it's the only thing besides the Mustang, which there's no school on how to learn the Mustang in basic DCS. So it just throws you into it and says, "Here, I hope you know how to fly a Mustang," and you're like, no. I have no clue what I'm doing in this Mustang. You haven't taught me anything about it, how it handles, maneuvers, anything. And you want me to fly it from the middle of the air. You dick. 30. How far out? That's going to be. So we're going to be down 62. We'll go ahead and start that descent now. I'm not going to worry about dropping speed because this thing will drop speed enough when I get closer in. So we'll just worry about dropping our altitude down. And CLM just came into range, so we're closing in on her. So we're within 25 nautical miles of her. Oh, if you're wondering, the reason I set this to 10 is because then it puts this outer top edge of the ground, like forward and front, and that puts it about 25 nautical miles. So that way I just have a reference of exactly where it's at. It allows me to see into the future. Minutes. Should be coming in. Charles De Gaulle shouldn't be that far from starting to render in. There's CLN right there. Starting to follow the diamond. It'll tell you exactly where CLN's bore is. It's right there. It's that little airstrip that's right underneath us, right under, right at the nose. I'm gonna pass this on the port side. Or left side, depending on your view of the world. A bunch of people seeing each other on traffic. There's an Airbus ahead of you. Do you see it? Yes, yes I do. But see, there's all this stuff going on around me. But I have no clue where. Like, I know there's a plane way up there. Brother up, give me back my aircraft on the radar down there. That'd be great. Alright, so there's De Gaulle on the nose. The nuclear reactor and all that right outside the window on the left side. Let's go ahead and start dropping speed. Let's get down at 200. Take this down to 3,000. Take this down to 160. There's De Gaulle. Once we get below 280, we'll put in the first set of flaps. Let's go ahead and turn landing lights on, I guess. Should be good. The only scenery I do have in the area right now is actually De Gaulle Airport, Charles De Gaulle. Scenery that's supposedly got like Concords and stuff parked on it. I thought that was going to be cool. I have yet to see a Concorde when I've flown into this thing, but it's because it always sends me to the same runway, which is 8 right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I actually paid attention and did like a low flyover or something like that, buzz the tower, I could probably see something, but as it is, we'll just bring her in, we'll land, we'll taxi out, and we'll go to a parking spot, park her, shut her down. We'll call it a day. lot faster. See, there's the nuclear reactor and the cooling towers. Hot rock, make hot water, make power. Yep. And once we get to 3,000 feet, she'll start slowing down drastically again. So we'll throw flaps back in. And don't panic, we will be turning shortly. Don't panic, everyone's got your towel, right? As the airfield renders in the rest of the way. There we go. Now we're reaching the right altitude. Right rope. And we'll try to keep the speed on as long as we can. Tune into De Gaulle. See if anybody else is coming in to land with us. Or if it's just us. I guarantee you it's probably not just us, but brake out real quick, help us slow down. Yeah, got it, I know. Shut your dirty whore mouth, Babs. Slow down to 50. Throw our gear down. Gears down. Throw in second set of flaps. Put us on straight in. Orbit rate 648, heavy is out of 6,500 for 3,000. Orbit rate 648, heavy to go, approach, roger. Altimeter 2992. We'll throw in full flaps now. Altitude and nav out. Get rid of those as well. go back to where I'm trying to set you, that would be great.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
There's
Altitude.
the error.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
Stupid error that says middle marker, and I just go, yeah, whatever.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
This is really frame lag right now.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
$100, $50, $40, $30.
Alright. Now that we're down, I'm actually getting some frames back. Alright, I don't need the HUD. What we'll do is we'll taxi down here, and let's put our taxi on. Let's exit here. God, that just lagorific landing on that one. Good Lord, worse than normal. Parking over there somewhere. Oh, for smeg's sake, come on. How much throttle do I need to add? Lord. I don't want to crawl on the ground. Let's go. I don't want to speed, but I don't want to be crawling either. This is probably the really boring part for everybody. Like, oh great, now you're taxiing. You jerk off. And you're doing a shitty job at it. Yes, yes, I know. Thank you. Never claimed to be the best at anything. I'm just a guy who likes to sit around and goof off. Did not mean to do that. I have to scoot my seat back a little bit. Contact Paris centered on 118.05. Alright, parking brakes. And let's go ahead and go to setup page. Panel status, and we'll shut her down. And that should be everything. There, we'll finish putting flaps up. Alright guys, so that's the flight. We're in De Gaulle. Hopefully the next flight won't be as bad. We may have to divert from Heathrow and go somewhere where there might not be a shit ton of lag. But as for now guys, we will catch you guys in the sky. Peace out.